Hey guys, how's it going, and welcome to another episode of Project Zomboid. This is episode 2 of fleeing Kingsmouth, where we're looking for the supplies to strengthen our house by barricading the windows. And we're going to find these tools by going down to the harbor that is just down the road from our base. I'll show you guys here on the map where we're going to be going. So our house is here on the top right corner, and we're going to be going down here to the harbor, which is this building just down the road on the right side here with the little X that I put on the map here, just in case you don't know what the layout of Kingsmouth is like. But before we do that, we're gonna get some quick sleep here because it's nighttime and it's a lot easier to kill and see the zombies when it's morning. So let's get some sleep and I'll see you in the morning. So here we are, it's the morning of the next day, and before we head out, we're just gonna have a quick little snack downstairs using some of the supplies that we found in the last episode. Now, unfortunately, we don't actually have lots of food. I think there's a couple left over in the kitchen that spawned in the house, but other than that, we're actually really low on food. We're gonna have to kind of ration what we have until we actually do a food supply run into the city. But anyway, now that we're well rested and well fed, let's head outside and get going over to the harbor. Now, on the last episode, when we came here to the house, I don't think we were followed, and the only zombies that we actually had to kill were the ones that were already around here. So I'm kind of curious as to how these zombies actually ended up here. But anyway, we're going to kill these guys off nice and quick using our boots because we don't have lots of weapons in our storage supply just yet. So we want to preserve those until we find a group of zombies that actually requires us to use these. Luckily, it was quite a small group, but we can't be sure for next time. So we need to hurry up and set up these barricades on the windows so that if a big group shows up, we'll at least have some time before they can get into the building. That way we'll have a little more time to prepare. But hopefully that's not going to happen anytime soon. Anyway, let's finish killing off these zombies so we can head over to the harbor. I can see 2 zombies here. There's one on the opposite side of the road. There's one below us here in the trees. We're going to go ahead and kill these real quickly here. Now, unfortunately, there's always this kind of unspoken rule of a +1 on Project Zomboid, where when you're fighting the zombies, there's always another one that comes out of the trees or the building or wherever it is you are. So we're going to have to kill this guy here, just to the left, just barely. And then once he's dead, we're going to kill the last zombie that's on the other side of the road, up to the top right corner of the screen. Now, sadly, none of these zombies actually had any good loot on them, which is unfortunate, but, you know, it is what it is. Hopefully, we'll actually find some good stuff over at the harbor once we make it over there. So let's just finish this guy off real nice and quick and get moving over there. So I'm going to transition over to the harbor, and I will see you guys here in a little second. So here we are, we're finally approaching the harbor. There's actually a couple cars parked at the front of it, and there's a key here, so we're gonna go ahead and loot that here in a minute. But there's also zombies, so we gotta be careful. Another thing you might have noticed is that it's also raining outside, so we don't want to stay out here because we could actually end up catching a cold again, just like we did on the last episode. We don't want to do that, so let's kill these guys off. We're gonna check out these cars, and we're gonna head into the building. Now, we are trying to be stealthy because we don't really want to pull all of these zombies that are at the parking lot at once. It's a lot easier to take them out little by little, and as you can see, there's about 13 zombies. I mean, we could take them on using the knife, but you know, we don't actually want to waste it just yet. Now, there's something interesting. The back of that purple car there actually has a sports car battery in it, which is actually the same type of battery that these cars use. So there's a good chance that we might actually have a car working here, if they have gas in it, of course, and are completely damaged. Now, this zombie that we killed here actually has a pristine police pants, which would look cool for our outfit, but they're not the right color, so I don't actually pick them up. Now, I know that earlier I said that we wouldn't use the knives, but 2 to 3 zombies is about the limit that I want to fight using our hands or feet. So I pull out the knife to finish the job here before we move on. But as usual, when you're fighting a zombie, there's always another one. So as we finish this last guy off, another one comes from the trees. So we're gonna have to fight him as well before we can move into the parking garage here and check out these cars. After we're done killing him, we have a quick look through the loot that these guys have. But I don't see much. I'm kind of a quick looter. I don't know if you guys noticed this, but I look through their inventories really fast. But I don't see anything of value just yet. So we finish off the other zombie, and we're about to go into the parking lot now, finally, when another zombie from the parking lot seems to have spotted us. There's actually a couple zombies above us as well in the road. So we're trying to stay in between them, the trees and them, so that they don't see us. Now, at this point, I think we've killed the majority of the zombies that were at the parking lot. So we're going to kind of just slowly push and try to pull the last ones out of there without aggroing any bigger groups. And as you can see, it seems that we pulled like 2 or 3 of them, which isn't too hard since the first one's pretty far ahead of the other 2. which makes it pretty easy to kill him off first. Now, I don't know if you can see this, but on the left side of the screen, there seems to be a trailer, a gasoline trailer, so that's actually pretty useful for the cars. As long as we can find maybe a jerry can or an empty gas can, we can fill up these cars with gas using the stuff that's in that trailer. Not just that, but with the battery that we found in the purple car and the gas from the trailer, we might actually just be able to find a working car here. Now, I'm not sure how dangerous the city itself is just yet, since we haven't gone too deep into it, but driving a car right now into the middle of the city might be a bad idea. So for now, I think we're just going to kind of check out the damage that these cars have, see what we can find inside of them before heading down into the actual harbor itself. Apparently I didn't notice this while I was fighting the zombies, but one of the alarms went off on one of these watches, so we quickly find it and turn it off so it doesn't bring in more zombies. And then just throw it back on the zombie because we don't actually need a watch, we already have one. And we don't actually have the electrical magazine read or book read, which gives us more experience, so there's no point in actually dismantling the watches. Now, right here, we find one of the most useful items in the game since we're playing with pitch black nights, which is the flashlight, right? Extremely useful item for nighttime. It's gonna start getting dark here soon, so we might actually use it here in a minute. Now, other than that, there wasn't much else useful inside the car, and the car itself wasn't in too bad of a shape. The battery is empty though, so we can actually swap it out with the one from the purple car, I believe, but we'll have to see if they're compatible. If I remember correctly, the battery that was in the purple car was a sports car battery, but the one that's in the blue car is standard, so I don't think we'll manage to swap them out just yet. Maybe in the white car that's parked 3 lanes down. Now, in the back of the blue car, we actually find something very useful, which is a first aid kit. Now, I don't even see what's inside of it. I just take the whole kit because our backpack is empty and we have a room for it, so we just take the entire kit and we'll sort through it later. As I said earlier, there are zombies on the road that's just above us that goes to our house. So before we actually loot the white car and check out its conditions, I decided that it's actually a good idea to maybe get rid of some of these zombies so that they don't attack us as we're trying to fix the car. Unfortunately, we make a little mistake here where we miss our push. I think it was a hitbox mistake, but nothing too bad happened. The zombie didn't actually hit us. I think our bulletproof vest might have saved us there on that one. Anyway, there are actually more zombies on the other side of the road, on the forest, and we don't actually have to fight them. So instead, we just kind of pull back to the car so we can kind of check it out. And it is kind of getting slightly darker because I do believe that there's a storm coming. So we equip the flashlight that we found earlier inside the blue car so that we can see better. After we finally kill this last zombie, we actually have a little bit of free time here. So we decided to have a peek at what's inside the white car. But unfortunately, we got spotted by 2 zombies that were in the parking lot. So we got to deal with them first. Luckily, our boots and our knives make some quick work of them. And we try to open the trunk of the car, but unfortunately it's locked, so we're gonna have to actually go into the interior of it and unlock it from the inside, since we actually don't know how to lockpick doors just yet. Now, fortunately, there's actually a key in here which we put into the ignition, and the battery actually seems fine, but it's out of gas, so this car is actually a potentially usable vehicle for us. In the trunk, we actually find a piece of duct tape which we take, because that's actually pretty useful for repairing knives, which are our main type of weapon at the moment. After checking the trunk and the inside, we decided to have a peek inside the hood to see how the car is looking. And from what I can see, it's actually in pretty good condition, and the battery does actually have some charge left in it, which means that we can't actually use this car as long as we find some gasoline for it, or a gas can to take some gas out of another car or from the trailer that we found earlier and put it in there. But that's not our current objective, so we're gonna leave the car here for later. Right now, we're going to kind of check out the rest of these cars, see what we can find, see the conditions. This first truck here is actually not in too bad of a condition, and the battery is actually also working on it. But unfortunately, the doors are locked, and we don't want to smash the windows just yet because there's lots of zombies nearby, so we kind of ignore going inside. The trunk of it, though, on the other hand, has a jack, which we might pick up later for our actual cars. Now, the green truck, just like the white truck, is locked, so we can't actually get inside, and the back part of it is also pretty empty. And at this point, we kind of already have a couple cars that we can take, so I don't really check the engine of the green truck. Instead, we check how much fuel is actually inside the gasoline trailer. And it is absolutely topped off. It's got 404 out of 405 gasoline. Now that we've checked out the parking lot, the vehicles, the trailers, we're actually going to go into the harbor building itself, but the doors are locked, so the only way to get in is by going through one of the windows. Now, lucky for us, the building does not actually have an alarm, so we managed to sneak inside without getting seen by any zombies. And as luck would have it, on the first little container that we check, we actually managed to find a saw and a sledgehammer, which we take both of them. But now all we're missing is a hammer and an axe, since we already have a screwdriver and the saw in our backpack. Luckily for us, we actually find a hammer just 2 shelves down in the same building. So now all we're missing is an axe. And technically we have all the tools we actually need to build our house. But that doesn't mean we're not going to check out the rest of the building. There could still be more stuff in here. From the looks of it, we seem to have entered the garage of the building, but from the outside it seems to be some sort of an office building. But we'll only really know once we actually get inside of it. As we open the door into the hallway, we notice there's just one zombie, so I assume the building's mostly empty. Otherwise, we'd have seen at least 4 to 5 zombies inside the hallway. Now, one zombie isn't that big of a threat, so we quickly dispatch of him and begin looting the actual building. Now, I don't have my hopes up for finding anything more useful inside this building, because these desks and file cabinets don't usually have anything too important, but I do pick up these pencils and pens so I can make a couple more markings on our map later on. Now, in the other room, I actually find a comic book, and I kind of deliberate whether to pick it up or not, and at this point, I don't really think we need it, so I kind of just leave it there and go check out some of the other rooms. You might also notice there's a water dispenser here on the hallway, and I will be coming back for this later. The reason I'm not picking it up now is because it's just kind of too heavy. Now, in this file cabinet, we actually find 2 medical magazines, and I'm not sure what they teach us, but we'll find out later once we go back to the base. Other than that, most of these desks are actually empty. They seem to just have sheets of paper or pencils or pens that we already have and picked up in the previous rooms. So we're just going to kind of have a quick look just to make sure, but after that we're going to head over to the next room, which is I think another office room, just down the hallway down to the left. This room that we're about to go into, it doesn't actually have too much, but we do find a mint candy which we'll eat because, as I said earlier in the episode, we're actually low on food. We also dismantle the radio that we find because we need the battery for using our flashlight, which I think at the moment we only have a couple of them. Besides that, I think we also only find a lighter inside this next desk. And although we already have 2 in our backpack, I pick it up anyway because it's never a bad idea to have a couple extra for down the road. Other than that, we do check all the other desks and file cabinets, but we don't find much else in here. There was another comic book, but as I said previously, we don't pick it up because we don't really need it just now. After that, we have a quick peek out the window to see what kind of zombie we're dealing with, and luckily for us, it's actually pretty empty. So we head back out to the hallway and go check out the last portion of the building that we haven't actually looted yet, after having a quick peek at the garage to make sure that there aren't any zombies coming in. Luckily, we seem to be in the clear, and we do check out these lockers, and we find a lunchbox, but it's actually empty, so we just kind of keep moving on. There is a zombie walking past the window, but I thought he saw me, but he didn't actually, so we kind of just kept our chill and just kind of checked out the rest of these desks before moving on into the bathrooms, where hopefully we'll find maybe some medical items or some soap to keep ourselves clean in the future. Just as the rest of the building was empty, so are the bathrooms, and unfortunately this one didn't really have much besides maybe a couple of sheets to make some rags, but we already have a first aid kit with some bandages inside, so we skipped that. Now the second bathroom actually has 2 other first aid kits inside, which we're going to loot here quick, and we're going to pick up anything that we need, such as the bandages, a pair of tweezers I believe, and at least 1 bottle of disinfectant. We're also going to remove all the stuff that I'm not going to be using from our first aid kit, such as the adhesive bandages, the cotton balls. I don't usually carry those on me. And the reason I swap out from the alcohol wipes for the bottle disinfectant is because the bottles actually weighs less than the wipes, and it lasts longer than the actual wipes itself. So that's why we did that swap. We're going to put the kit away and we're going to move on. But before actually leaving the harbor office building, we're actually going to go ahead and read some of those magazines that we found earlier, the medical ones, so that we can open up a couple of inventory spaces in our backpack, because our backpack is actually almost full, so we want some extra room here. So we read these 2. They're going to teach us how to make improvised sutures, suture holders, and disinfectant, as well as bandages and splints. And then we can just get rid of those now that we've read them. We'll also put our flashlight away, and it's actually starting to pour even heavier outside because the storm's actually basically on top of us, and it's going to get even louder once we go outside. Now at this point, the only thing that we're actually missing is the axe, and we're going to go find one just further down the harbor near the containers. And as luck would have it, we actually have a gas pump just here in the harbor in case we actually find a boat at some point down the road. And not just boats, we can also use the cars to fill up at that pump, as long as we find a generator to power up the pump so we can get the gas out of it. Now we actually get pretty lucky just up ahead here, and there's actually some crates that are not inside these containers. And I guess it doesn't really matter because we do have a sledgehammer that we found in the building earlier, which we could use to destroy those container doors, or gates I guess, and get inside to loot them. But we're not going to do that just yet because our backpack's already kind of full. We're just going to kind of focus on finding that axe inside these crates here, see if we can find one. Luckily there's not that many zombies, just as the other part. This area here actually seems to be really safe. There seems to be an unbreakable wall around the edges of the harbor, So the only way for the zombies to actually get from outside to where we are is by going all the way around those walls. Now these crates here actually have some good stuff, mostly nails, which we pick up, a couple of boxes. There's also a battery and some seeds that we take for planting later down the road. We also seem to find some shotgun shells, which are nice. Even though we don't have one now, it's nice to start collecting these for later. Other than that, there's not much in those crates, but these ones on the left actually have an axe, which we take. So we now have actually, reached our objective of having all the tools to make our base stronger. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna start heading back towards the building earlier, because we did actually leave that water dispenser. I don't know if you guys remember, but I said that we'd come back for that, and we actually need a clean water supply source in our house. So we're gonna start heading back there, but along the way we're just gonna make sure none of these doors are open, because if they are, we might as well loot these containers. I don't know what's inside. There could be loot, it could be empty, there could be zombies. We'll find out some other time, because right now our top priority is getting back to the base and fortifying it in case we get attacked by zombies someday down the road. Not just that, but we also got to get out of this rain, because we've been in it for a while now, and I don't want to catch any of the cold. The first one was pretty hard to get rid of. We got lucky finding food and stuff, but let's not get cold again, shall we? So we pick up our water dispenser and we start heading back home right after equipping the dispensers that actually weighs less and we're not overweight in case we find zombies along the way. But we did clear out the road on the way here, so it shouldn't be anything too dangerous. We also seem to have leveled up our sneaking from sneaking around the parking lot inside the building without getting seen. Anyway, we're gonna head back home and I'll see you guys over there. So here we are back at the base with all the stuff that we just looted from the harbor. Luckily, it doesn't seem like any zombies are around, so we're just gonna find a spot for that water dispenser that we took from the harbor office building. Now, I was planning on putting the water dispenser in the kitchen, but it'd be kind of in the middle of the way no matter where I put it, so I decided to just put it here in the dining room, right below these shelves here, as soon as I remember to unequip it. There we go. But for some reason when I place it, it doesn't look very nice because it kind of clips through the shelf, as you can see. So I decided against leaving it here. I pick it up and I decided to put it underneath the staircase, which is kind of out of the way, but unfortunately when I try placing it, the character decides to go upstairs for some reason, so instead I just decided to actually just go and put it back in the kitchen in the first place. Should have just done this from the start, but oh well. And then we've actually found a place to put this. We're gonna go upstairs and we're gonna drop all the loot that we got on the floor next to our bed, which is kind of the most safe area at the moment because the zombies need to go into the building, go upstairs, and then go through the door to actually reach us. So at the moment, this is actually the safest spot in the house, and this is where we're gonna drop all of our loot. Basically anything that we're not gonna be using in the next couple of days, such as the sledgehammer and the gun that we don't have any ammo for example. And what we're gonna do now is we're gonna update our map just a little bit. I really like updating these maps so I know where I've been in the cities and stuff like that. So now that we've looted the office building, we're gonna go ahead and put an X on that, which means that it has been looted and that there's nothing left there for us to loot. We're also going to go ahead and put an exclamation mark where the gas pump is so that we know it's there, as well as an X where we looted those crates in between the containers on the southern side of the harbor. Besides that, we're also going to put a couple skulls around here just where I know that there's some zombies, just so that we know to avoid those locations on our next trip down. Although I'm actually going to change the color to red instead of black, so that it's more obvious on the map, so it's more obvious where the zombies are, right? The zombies are going to be red, loot is going to be black, and things that are important such as interactable items like pumps, cars are going to be marked as blue, okay? For example, right there, we're going to swap out the exclamation mark for a blue one so we know there's a gas pump there. So now that our job is done, we're just going to quickly enjoy a nice warm meal. Well, not warm because we don't actually have anything to cook it in, but we're going to enjoy a nice meal before we get some sleep in the morning. And once we wake up, we're actually going to be working on barricading the house using the supplies that we found in the office. So I'm going to get some sleep and I will see you guys in the morning. It is now the morning of the next day, and we are going to be spending the entirety of this day working on fortifying our base, right? So we're probably going to start the day off by chopping down some trees. I'm going to be primarily removing the trees near the closest proximity to our base because I want to have visibility when we're near or inside of our base on the outside. And these trees get in the way, so like when there's a zombie on the other side of a tree, I can't see it because the tree's too close. So we're going to chop down the trees really close to us, and we're then going to turn them into planks and barricade the windows. We're going to be starting by chopping down the trees in the back side of the house here near this table. and we're just going to be kind of going around the right side of the house. Unfortunately, there's a couple zombies that we will be fighting, probably because, you know, hitting trees and making noise is never a good thing when there's zombies nearby. So let's get these guys out of the way and take care of business. Luckily, there's not that many of them at the moment, but I expect we'll be fighting at least a few. So I'm going to go ahead and chop down these trees, and then we're going to return them into planks. And primarily what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be barricading the outside of the house. We'll do the inside some other time. That's not really too important at the moment. But what I want to do after we're done barricading the outside is I want to put sheets on the outside, because a friend told me recently, and I don't remember exactly who, but if you put sheets outside the windows and they cover up the planks, apparently that doesn't let the zombies see the planks, so they don't actually aggro to your constructions, right? So that's the plan here. We're going to be doing that here shortly. We're going to be starting with the bathroom window. And something else that we're also going to be doing is we're going to be removing all the broken glass, and we're also going to be breaking all of the windows if they're not already broken. And I'm going to be dropping the glass shards on the outside so that if there is a zombie outside and he doesn't actually hit the window, at least he'll make noise by stepping on the broken glass. Just got to remember not to jump out of the window without our boots, because I did that one time in the past, and I can tell you right now, it was not a really pleasant experience. We were limping for quite a while with some glass shards in our feet. But anyway, let's finish chopping up these logs with the planks, and then we're going to be barricading the kitchen, one of the 3 kitchen windows now, as soon as we're done picking up all of these planks off the floor. They do take a little bit to pick up because they weigh a lot. And just like the bathroom windows, we will be removing the broken glass from the kitchen, and we're going to be using the same strategies I just said earlier, which is, you know, leaving the glass shards on the floor outside the window. Plus the barricade combo is actually pretty effective. If you've never tried it, I recommend you give it a shot one time. Now, unfortunately, I wasn't really paying attention to how many barricades I made, and I actually ended up running out of nails. So we actually have to go upstairs here and pick up a box from the pile that we left next to our bed, after which we can actually go back and finish setting up the barricades. Now that we got the nails, we're actually going to go ahead and head back down. We're going to finish the first kitchen window that we were building earlier, and then we're going to proceed to actually break the other kitchen windows so that the glass shards fall on the outside, because the zombies themselves haven't actually broken those 2 windows. Because whenever we actually reached the base on episode 1, we came from the top left corner of the screen, so there's no reason for the zombies to jump out through those windows. They broke all the other windows on the other side of the house. And just like the other ones, we're going to remove the broken glass shards so we don't hurt ourselves in case of an emergency where we need to jump out the window. And then we're going to proceed to finish barricading these. So we've now done about 4 windows in the house. I believe the house has a total of, I think it was 9 windows. And so far we've done a total of 3. So we still have 6 windows to go. We will most likely have to chop more trees down as we use the planks up. Probably have to open another box of nails. Not to mention we still have to do the inside. So that's another 9 windows times 4 planks. So that's another 36 planks just for the inside. So we still have our work cut out here for us. But before we move on to the next window and finish this one, we're actually going to chop down these trees here, just so that we have some more logs on the floor ready to go, and so that we have a little bit more visibility around the house, which is the main reason why we're chopping down these trees and not the ones away from the house. And something that I do notice while we're cutting these trees is that there is actually one zombie at the far end of our parking lot. Hopefully he won't aggro to us, but there's a pretty high chance that he will actually come this way once we start chopping down the next tree and barricading up the next window. Now, once we're done chopping up this log, we're going to pick up all the planks. It comes up to a total of 12, which is going to allow us to do the 3 windows in our living room. Of course, first we got to get rid of the broken glass that's on the window and then barricade it. Not to mention that we still need to collect enough sheet to cover up all 9 windows on the bottom floor. And I'm actually not sure if we have enough inside the house. We'll see this later once we finish barricading the windows first. Now at this point, that zombie that was across the street from us actually did hear us moving the glass and barricading this window. So he's going to probably be coming up here in a few seconds. We're going to have to fight him, and it's not that big of a deal, it's just one zombie. And something that I didn't notice when I was actually barricading is that I actually missed the plank on that second window of the kitchen, which I do eventually come back to fix that, by the way. Anyway, we're going to finish off killing this zombie, and we're going to head to the 2 front windows at the entrance of the base. Go ahead and barricade those. We're going to remove the glass just like the other ones. And here's something interesting that I didn't actually notice the first time that I was barricading these windows, is that this door is actually the type of door that has a window on it. And if you didn't know, you can actually put sheets on these types of doors to block them out as well. So that's something we're going to end up doing later on down the road once we actually finish barricading the whole house. Hopefully in the future we'll find the resources and the tools to upgrade from carpentry barricades to metal sheets. In case you didn't know, a fully barricaded window with carpentry planks has about 80 health, and the window has an extra 10, so it's a total of 90, right? But if you put metal sheets on, each metal sheet has 100 health, if I remember correctly. Plus the windows, that's 210 HP. It's a considerably higher amount of HP. The zombies can still break through it very easily, don't get me wrong on that, but it's still extra time for you to prepare. For now though, we're just gonna have to settle for the carpentry barricades. Now the other thing that I'm actually slightly worried about is the amount of food that we have. We're actually running really low, but now that we have a safe place to rest and sleep in, our next priority is very likely going to be finding more food, which I believe is what we're probably going to be doing over the next couple of days in the game. I don't actually know this map very well. I plan on it just a little bit to test it out, so most of what we're going to be seeing up ahead is going to be my first experience on this island of Kingsmouth. The only thing that I know from my times of playing it is that there's a military base here that does actually have a supply locker with guns, which we will eventually go there to pick up some weapons. For now, we're just going to play the game very stealthily while we try to find more food and supplies to help our survival. Not to mention, we still need to find a boat, right? We've only looted one parking lot so far, so we found a couple cars, but the end game goal is to find that boat that's somewhere on the island and get off the island. Technically speaking, we already own the harbor because it has walls around it and there shouldn't be many zombies, so we could sail off the island from the harbor, but first we're gonna have to scour the island until we actually find that boat. If you haven't actually played with the yacht mod, which is what we're going to be using to escape Kingsmouth, there are actually two types of boats. There are the sailboats and the engine boat. Now, personally, I haven't really played with them very much, but from what I understand from the mod page, the sailboat is basically moved via the wind, whereas the other boat actually uses gasoline to power its engine to move around the map. So we're going to have to see what kind of boat we find. Anyway, at this point, we're almost done barricading the house. We only have about 2 more windows to finish. We're almost actually done with this one. We just have basically 1 more window to go. We've got a couple planks on the floor here that we might end up picking up later and throwing into our furnace to stay warm over the nights. Once we're done here, we're gonna go into the house and we're gonna pick up all the sheets that are in the windows, in the bathrooms, the kitchen, the living room, upstairs. We're gonna take all of those off. We're gonna come back outside. And what we're going to do is we're going to place those sheets over the barricades, as I've said earlier. Hopefully we have enough to cover the entire house. We're going to need a total of 9 sheets. I don't think we have that. I don't think the house has that. Here in the living room, we seem to have 3 already, so that's a third of the windows covered with sheets. Hopefully the kitchen has a couple. I know the bathroom has one from seeing it earlier. The dining room unfortunately doesn't have any. There's the one for the bath. Let's pick that one up as well. It seems like the kitchen doesn't have any as well. So all that's left now is basically to go check out the windows upstairs and hope that they have some more sheets, which I think we're going to do right now. But unfortunately, it seems like most of these windows upstairs don't have their own sheets. I think the guest bathroom does have one, which we do pick up here. So we now have 4 sheets, I think, in my backpack. And the room that we're sleeping in doesn't have one either. And that closet doesn't have a window. So we're basically stuck with 4 sheets. Hopefully in the future, we do pick some up when we'll leave the base to go loot some more in the city. So for now, what we're going to do is we're going to cover up the windows that are more likely to have zombies see them, which are the front windows and the upper left side of the house, because that's where the zombies are going to be coming from, right? The zombies can't come from the bottom right side of the screen or the right side of the screen because that's where the ocean is. There's nothing that way. We're literally on the edge of the island, so the zombies can't come from that direction, so we're safe from there. So that's going to be the 4th sheet. We have 1 more after this one, which is going to be the bathroom one. And then we're only going to be missing the 3 kitchen windows and 1 of the living room windows, which is on the bottom right side of the house. With this, we've barricaded the outside of our house and made sure that the zombies can't see us. Now, I did actually end up going back to the harbor and just looting those containers. We didn't find much. We found a couple boxes of nails, nothing too important, no tools. We did find a couple guns, but we didn't find any ammo, and our shooting skill is so low that it really doesn't matter at this point. But I did bring the Mac, and we also did finish barricading the inside of the house. But I didn't put that in the video because there was really nothing too interesting happening. So I'm just kind of letting you guys know about that. For next time when we get into episode 3, you're like, where did you get all that stuff from? Anyway, that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it, and also make sure to check out my Twitch channel for daily content. I stream almost every day, and I'll see you next time.